Done.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. And just a reminder, the meeting is now being recorded, and a reminder that the recording is not an official public document. Which brings us to our annual task of the renewal of licenses, in particular liquor and automobile dealers and possibly vitular licenses. So you think we can do these as a group, or should we go through them individually?
You could do them as a group.
All right. So I ended up with the task on the liquor licenses and also the class 2 and 3 renewals for used cars and scrap metals. I did inspections of each of these facilities to make sure they were fulfilling the conditions which are part of their license, and I was comfortable the conditions had been fulfilled. At all the liquor license renewals, we have 3 of those, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the class 2 and 3 renewals. So maybe, so Liz, on the liquor forgive me, Bree, on the liquor licenses, the applications are complete for the Upland Club, the Artari Corporation doing business as Plympton Gas and Convenience, and the Plympton Convenience and Liquor Store.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to
just one question first, Bree,
Sure.
on the gas. I saw something they weren't going to renew their license. Is that true?
For the gas station or for liquor?
Yeah, the gas station. So I'm just wondering, are they going to renew their liquor license? Have you heard anything?
Oh, yeah. I've got the liquor license already set, check.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to check.
Insurance and bond. So, so good.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion that the 2021 liquor licenses be renewed. They are expiring December 31st of 20. The new renewal would go until December 31st of 2021. So the motion will be to renew the liquor licenses for the Upland Sports Club, the RT Corporation doing business as Plympton Gas and Convenience, and the Plympton Convenience and Liquor Store.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Mr. Russo? Yes. Okay.
Mark, I'm going to, can I interrupt you for that?
Please.
Right after this, can we do the range permit since it's the Upland Club? It's for the Upland.
Okay.
It's
That's
usually
called
together.
the range permit?
It's a
Gun
range
range?
permit for the gun range.
Yes.
There's no fee
There's no fee?
for that.
All
No.
right, so I make a motion, the gun range permit be renewed for the Upland Club for another year.
I'll second that.
And roll call vote, Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Mr. Russo, yes. So because some of these licenses are a little bit different, maybe I should just go through these individually. So I'm going to make a motion, we renew the motor vehicle junk license. It's a class 3 license for Henry Larson doing business as Albee Salvage.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Mr. Russo, yes. Okay, now, all the next one, I think, are used car dealer. Let me just confirm that all the way down the list.
You have
Yeah,
one scrap metal for Albee's as well.
Okay, so I'll make a motion where we renew the scrap letter license for Albee's running until December 31st, 2021.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Mr. Russo, yes. All right, and now I'm going to make a motion. We
Yeah.
review the used car dealer license Class 2 for Henry
Yeah.
Larson doing business as Albee Salvage, for Angels Auto and Towing, for Michael Carey doing business as Carey Auto, for Roger Randolph doing business as Competition Auto, and for Motorsports, and for Brandon Berry doing business as Plympton Cycles, and Up Into Two Inc.
Do we have one for Mike True? Did it?
That's motorsports.
That's Motorsport? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So do I hear
I'll
a
second.
second?
I'll second.
All right, roll call vote. Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
Mr. Russo, yes. All right. So I think we've made it through all the renewals. We'll each probably need to come in and sign those, Bree, later this week.
Yes. I should have them ready to go Tuesday afternoon, not unless you just want to do them Wednesday morning.
Why don't you want to just shoot us an email when they're ready. All right. So that takes care of that, and that brings us up to Town Administrator. What makes Plympton unique as a 2021 project? Are we going to introduce this tonight, but then maybe wait until the next meeting when Christine is here? Does that make sense?
Sure.
Do you want to say a few words just by way of introduction in preparation for the next meeting?
Sure. So this was an idea that I had back over the summer while everybody was dealing with COVID. Initially, it started as a thought about kind of knowing where your food comes from and where the different sources are. And we have many remarkable farms in town that provide numerous services to our residents and to people all over the South Shore. So initially I had thought about kind of showcasing those places, but then the idea has grown a little bit and become a bit more broad in terms of what makes Plympton unique overall. And I thought it would be kind of a neat project, sort of a fun, feel-good thing, if maybe periodically every few weeks or so, we picked a different topic and kind of showcased that on the town's Facebook page and so on. And it would just kind of, like I said, showcase what's going on in town, all the different things we have that make us unique and a really great place to be. My idea for the first one, to kick it off after the new year, there is a farm on West Street that they're doing the Plympton Kindness Tree. I believe they've done it in the past. I'm not certain if it happened last year or not, though. But for this year, they have a tree out front with ornaments that you can go by and write something down that you like about the town, or somebody who lives in it, or whatever the case may be. It's for positive comments. And they're all set up with clear ornaments and slips of paper, pens, hand sanitizer. And it just seemed like a really kind of cool project that these people are doing. I believe it was the woman's son who came up with the idea. I think he's a teenager. So again, it's something unique, and I have reached out to that person, and we're going to see what format we might be able to get something in, whether she sends pictures of some of the ornaments or however we want to do that, but to kind of kick off this project maybe with that right after the new year, and then sort of see how it evolves. I think it'll kind of gain a life of its own, but we'll see where it goes.
Great idea. Love it.
Yeah, I think there's a number of things. I was the recipient of a holiday wreath over the last week, and I understand that a group of ladies from, I believe, the Garden Club, were with the Garden Club, delivered over 90 wreaths to seniors that were 80 or older in town. So I think that's the kind of thing that we want to highlight and make sure it gets out in front of people, because it's one of the things that does make Plympton unique. I've got a list of a number of other things, but I think we'll wait for Christine.
I think the best thing about it is there are a lot of towns and a lot of them are fairly generic, even on the South Shore. And it is absolutely true. We are unique, and it'll be fun to make it clearer in the ways that we are. So I really appreciate this, and I look forward to having it on the agenda next meeting and fleshing it out further. So thank you so much for everyone that's thinking about this.
Maybe next time I can talk about cookies.
I got cookies. I
Usually
did.
amazingly good.
Yes, that knock on the door yesterday was great.
Okay.
I'm up a pound.
Well, if it's only a pound just before Christmas, you do.
No, I've just started.
What do you think has been away?
All right.
Half my bag's gone.
We're up to town meeting or town administrator update.
So I was just on the finance committee meeting, and things look like they're pretty much on track with people's budgets for fiscal 21. We're continuing to do the monthly reporting and the updates from the town accountant and the various department heads. I do anticipate some shortfall in the police salary lines as we go forward. We do have somebody who's going to be retiring somewhat unexpectedly. And as such, that's going to create the need for out of rank pay for another officer, as well as some overtime to fill the shifts. Another project that I've kind of been working on, we do have retention issues, specifically within the police department. And one of the things that people kind of keep coming back to when they leave us is the health insurance and the percentage that we pay. We're a 50-50 split here in town. So I'm in the process of surveying all the other communities from the South Shore Managers Organization that I belong to, as well as getting some pricing information, like what would it actually cost us if we did want to make a change to that. I don't know that the numbers will make sense or necessarily warrant further discussion, but I think it's something for us to be mindful of, because some of these positions, specifically within the police department, it costs us a lot of money when people just up and leave, especially if we foot the bill to put people through the academy. There's a lot to that. There's a lot of money gone kind of in training, as well as overtime and things like that when you're trying to fill these shifts. So I think it's an important thing to at least look at. And I was discussing that with the finance committee. We may look at the numbers and say, no, we're right where we need to be. And we might look and say, oh, we can't afford to pay anymore. And that's fine. But I do think it's important to have that data and at least have a conversation about it and see what we think. So once I get that information put together, I'll get it out to everyone so that we can at least see kind of how we measure up. Everything's going, oh, I'm sorry, yep.
I'm sorry, I'd just like to comment on that. I am in total agreement, and I think the hidden cost of losing people, recruiting new people, training new people is huge, and and they are hidden costs, and I think it's really important that we push this initiative. And not only even the cost in money, but the cost in time and in stress. So the degree to which we can do better retention by better benefits just makes total sense.
That was kind of how I was thinking of it too. Like, it's not, if it ends up being something that's going to cost us a fortune and we can't do it, then we can't do it. That's fine. But you don't know until you do the analysis and actually look at some of this stuff. And I think it's an analysis worth conducting. So
I think in terms, we should also maybe as part of it, see what other towns are doing in terms of when they train people and somebody leaves within a year or 2 years, do they write in that the person has to rescind some monies? You know, if we bring somebody on, say we do with the police, they go to the academy, we pay for that. I believe there's some towns that say that if you leave within 3 years, that we want you to pay back a portion of that cost that we spent. And I think we should look at that.
That's correct. I mentioned that to Finance Committee. We're going to look at that. What I've seen done in other places, and I can get more specifics, but a city I worked in prior, for instance, they would have the people going through the academy, because the town's payroll, so they're getting paid every week or biweekly. They would have like weekly or biweekly, whatever they were paid, installments taken out of their paycheck to cover their cost for the academy. And then they would say to them, you have to stay, I think it was 24 months maybe. And after you've been for 24 months, they would give them the money back. So it gave them incentive to stay, but it also, they didn't have to do it fully on their own dime.
Right. No, that sounds good. The other thing I would say is we have always been a training town. We're small. People oftentimes get the opportunity for their first promotional position here. If you go back when Matt Clancy came on originally,
Right,
as chief, and some of them are just not going to stay. You know, we have to recognize that we've had fire people who've come on and they want to go to places that have a lot of fires or more action. So I think as we go through, we just need to maybe make sure that we understand that piece of it.
I agree with you on that. It came up during the Finance Committee discussion, and I said, you know, for the police, we've lost quite a few people to state police.
Yeah.
And a whole different career track and decision. If somebody has an aspiration to become a state police officer and they're fortunate enough to make the cut and they get to kind of enter that, I don't think that there's anything that we could do differently that would make somebody stay if that's the track they're on. But as far as somebody like leaving us to go and work for Kingston Police or Halifax or Abington or you name it, with some of the places that we've lost people to, that's where I think that at least looking at the health insurance percentages would maybe, I don't know, just help slow that revolving door a little bit.
Well, let's see how it turns out. I think it's a well worth discussion.
Yeah, I think so. At least if not for anything else, at least we'll know kind of how we measure up and what the actual cost is involved. So,
yeah, I'm with you.
And otherwise, in terms of COVID, the numbers continue to go up. We are having, it's hard sometimes with the Maven system, with the state system, to be able to discern cases are cleared or not. So it looks like we're right around like 20 active cases, give or take a couple. The numbers continue to go up. I mean, the past few days, I was getting messages sometimes twice a day, even over the weekend, like, oh, another positive case. So it's out there and it's around, it's in town. I think we made a good decision for the townhouse and kind of dialing things back for the next few weeks. I would stand by that decision 100 times over. If not for any other reason, I think it was also helpful, even for the employees, to kind of press pause for a second. People were getting awfully loose with the precautions, with the mask wearing, everything from the public coming in to town employees, people that work in other buildings or are used to working more outdoors, coming in to drop off paperwork and stuff, kind of forgetting about the mask, and people had to be reminded. So I just think that this is a good opportunity to minimize some of the gatherings and everything and just try to keep people safe. And it's a good chance to reevaluate some of our protocols. One other thing I would mention, because of the holiday schedule coming up, Colleen Thompson is having a robocall sent out to all the seniors. They're actually switching the pantry day from Thursday this week and next week, because we would be closed for the holiday, switching it to Wednesday. So she's going to send out robocalls on that.
I did hear that robocall.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And that concludes my update.
Thank you, Liz. I'm going to call in a minute on John Williamson if he has any updates. Bree, I want to just circle back to license updates. Do we have any vitular licenses to be dealt with tonight?
Can you vote on that?
No, I would recuse. Oh, I would recuse myself.
Yeah, so you
but then
can't-
we'd
that's
be
why I
down
didn't
to
bring it up.
one. All right. So should go on the agenda for the next meeting when John and Christine are both there. Thank you. All right.
I have a note. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Mr. Williamson, any updates from your various venues?
Yeah, I would just note that, we had an additional 2 cases in the Dennett community that we were made aware of over the weekend. So that brings us to a total of 3 for Dennett, but we're at 61 overall for Silver Lake for the district. Like Liz was saying, I'm getting notifications pretty much every day of additional community. And again, this is community, so it doesn't necessarily mean students or a teacher. It could be a parent. It could be anyone within that thing. But basically, since Thanksgiving, there's a notification every day on the weekends. So I think it's probably both going to be a very good thing to have almost a couple-week break at the school. However, then it's also the holidays, and hopefully folks can resist the urge and keep it to be a weird Christmas, not the one we necessarily want. Otherwise, we will see more of this in January. But our staff at the Dennett continues to do everything they can do to maintain the protocols and keep everybody as safe as possible there. And I think they are well deserving of this break to get a little bit of a recharge for themselves. I think this has been a very difficult year for them to. Very, very happy to be able to have the students back in the building, but I think it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So that's about all I have for us for this week.
Excellent efforts. Thank you so much. So I think next will probably be minutes to approve, but just before that, any thoughts on who we might want to invite to the next meeting, one of the leaders of commissions, committees and the like, to give us an update?
Mark, I'd like to expand our groups that we look at. I'd like to see some of the organizations in town also be invited, such as CASA or PAYS or Boy Scouts. I don't think we should just make it town government. I'd be very interested. And I think at the end, the question we should always be leaving them is, what can we do for them to make their life easier? So, John, maybe you could help us with CASA.
Yeah, I can certainly get you the contact information for that.
I mean, I think we know the players. It's just reaching out and saying, hey, would you like to do this? Yeah. And if they don't want to do it, obviously that's something else.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be good to get in, particularly for CASA and PAYS, I guess, to be able to help educate a different audience about the work that they do. I mean,
especially in this COVID-19 era, because I'd really be interested in how they're coping.
Yep.
Great. So, John, maybe you can get some contact information, and Liz, maybe we could invite them to the next meeting or the meeting after that. That'd be nice to have some.
I would do them one at a time, though, so we give them a little,
Yep.
Enough time.
Very good.
And we also have Habitat for Humanity coming, participating in the January 25th meeting.
Okay, so we definitely want to get someone in for the one
11th.
before that. Yeah. All right. Very good.
I have the contact information for both Pays and CASA.
Sure.
So John Williamson, do you want me to contact them or will you be?
I think you can.
Okay.
I mean, it's Sarah and Amy, so
Yeah.
we know 'em. I have a few other things before we go to minutes, if you don't mind.
Okay.
One of the things that was discussed at the last town properties committee was the fire department is measuring all driveways in town to make sure that they have access. I thought that was a really neat idea. And so they're going around. Most of them they can just eyeball and look at and say, okay, we can get our equipment in there. But in some places, they'll actually have to ask the owners if they can go on site and make sure that they can get, if there's anything that needs to be trimmed, et cetera, that they can discuss it with the owner. But I think that's a nice initiative. Also, I had a discussion with Kathy Lenatra the other couple of days ago, just talking about how things are going and how do we work together. And one of the things that came out of that was that she suggested, and she would like to host a meeting with us, the selectmen, and also have Senator Brady join in. And I think we'd probably want one or two other people, such as John from the school, to just make a review of what's going on and where we see issues. And I told her I thought that was a great idea. She liked it so much, she says she's going to do it with all her towns. And I didn't realize, I forgot that she has 3 senators, not just one, because Duxbury's Coulter and Plymouth is another. So I suggested that Plympton would pull together a straw agenda. And maybe when Christine's back, we can sort of circulate and think about how we want to do that. And we just left it open that it would be sometime after the first of the year. But I think it's a neat idea, and it's probably something we could do a couple of times a year and make sure that, they're on board.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we used to do it with Tom Coulter way back when, and we're starting in again. Great.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
So I'll follow up on that, and I'll draw up something and just circulate it to you guys, and then we can sort of figure out where we want to go with it.
Okay.
And I have I'll save it for a rave.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Anything else from anyone before minutes? All right. So minutes of November 16th. I had a couple of corrections. On the first page, the first sentence about Dennett Elementary School, or actually it's the second sentence, it mentions John Williamson, hair of the Plympton School Committee. I think probably it's
That's not
chair.
accurate. That's not accurate.
So we should change that to chair. And let's see. And then on the second page, Town Properties Committee and Finance Committee, the first sentence said John Williamson explained to members of the Board of Selectmen. I think we should insert in there and the Finance Committee. And then lastly, under Town Administrator, the first sentence, it says the Town Administrator is working on highway roof bid to be effective 11/18. I think that's meant to be accepted November 18th through 12/3. So those are what I had. John, do you have any additional edits?
No, I didn't get past the hair.
Okay.
So I'm fine. I'm fine with the amendments.
All right. So I'll make a motion. We accept the minutes as amended.
I'll second that.
Roll call vote, Mr. Trainer.
Yes.
Mr. Russo, yes. So I'll let you go first on the next one, Mr. Trainer. December 8th minutes, did you have anything on these?
I didn't. I thought they looked good.
Yeah, I think these are great minutes. I had only one thing on that, and that's on page 2, where it's merely a typo, and I think the second sentence where it says award Dane services, and that probably should be design services. But that's the only thing I could find on that one. So I'll make a motion the 12-8 minutes be accepted as amended.
I'll second.
And roll call vote, Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
Mr. Russo, yes. And then the last
Excuse me,
minutes-
Mark, what sentence was that
Which one?
on the December 8th one?
Yep.
You said the second page?
Yes, under award of design services, and it's
Okay.
the second sentence,
Okay.
okay? And fortuitously, on the December 15th minutes, had nothing.
I
John?
didn't either.
Beautiful.
We captured well.
Now, those were big meetings, and Bree, you did a great job. So we'll vote on the 12-15 minutes, Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
Mr.
I'll
Russo.
second and yes.
Yeah, Mr. Russo, yes. Which I think dates to remember, we'll be meeting January 11th and January 25th. And unless anyone has anything else, we're up to rants and raves. And I can do the first rave. As Mr. Wilhelmsen mentioned, it will be a strange, if not downright weird Christmas season, and a really interesting time. I think odd, tender. I'm really looking forward to that time when things slow down a little and we all gain a little perspective. And I think all the more to give our minds a little rest, but also to give our hearts a little rest. So I think my rave is just for the holiday season, which is a time for rest and body and heart and mind and soul. And that even though it will be a little bit odd, that maybe that can be part of what happens for all of us.
Okay, I'll take I've got a couple of little things that wanted to give a shout out to the police department for the new website that went live. I think it really looks good, and I'm happy to see it. I also wanted to give a shout out to the fire department for the fire signs. As I mentioned before, I think they got a grant that allowed them to offer any senior in town a free fire sign. This is the house number for a resident. And 24 people signed up and they are being installed. And the last thing, I thought the roads looked really well after this snowstorm. I thought, from what I saw as I rode around town and went down some side streets, I thought it was they were well prepared. So.
Thank you, John. Any last words from anyone? Beautiful. So a well and safe and to the degree possible happy holiday season to everyone.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, even though it just ended for you, Mark, but enjoy the season.
You bet. All right, everyone.
Thank
See you in
you.
a couple of weeks.
Hey, Liz,
Yeah.
Mary.
wage and personnel. I mentioned to Alan about the probationary period being adjusted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just so you're aware.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Good night.
Good night.
Be
Good
well,
night,
everyone.
everybody.